update you on the ongoing investigations and prosecutions that I have initiated. But before I go into the details, I would want to, first of all, apologize for the fact that we had advertised that I was going to update you on a major investigation that has taken place that I dubbed the Rumble in the Jungle. You will recall that when I announced the investigation of the Kobina Idubohin case, I ended up by saying that if you thought that that case was a thriller in Manila, then wait for the Rumble in the Jungle. And so the Rumble in the Jungle was supposed to be today, but unfortunately, after the press release from my office in the Dufour case, significant public commentary, some of it adverse, others very positive, came into play. And I decided that it is, as part of the accountability and transparency series, it is important for me to, provide details because certain misimpressions were created, which are not accurate when it comes to the decision that I have taken. So I want to provide details on that. And then I'll update you on what we are doing, myself, my deputy, and the team at the AG's department with respect to the prosecutions. So, ladies and gentlemen of the media, my fellow countrymen and women, I am here this morning to account to the sovereign people of Ghana, as has been my practice since assuming office as Attorney General. Today, I will do two things. Firstly, I will provide further details on my decision to enter a nolle prosequi in the case of the Republic versus Kobina Dufour and 7 others. And secondly, give an update on the ongoing investigations and prosecutions that I have initiated upon assuming office as Attorney General. On Tuesday, 22nd July 2025, I took the decision to enter a nolle prosequi in the case of the Republic versus Kobina Dufour and 7 others. This decision effectively brought to an end the criminal trial of Dr. Kobina Dufour, a former governor of the Bank of Ghana and former Minister for Finance. I took that decision after a prolonged period of negotiations with my team of state attorneys, including the Director of Public Prosecutions and the receiver of Uni Bank on the one side. The team on the other side was made up of Dr. Dufour, the shareholders, directors and managers of Uni Bank, and the receiver. As part of my constitutional duty to account to you, my fellow countrymen, I wish to provide further details on my decision for two reasons. First, I have always maintained that as your Attorney General, I owe you a duty to act transparently. Second, I think it is important to dispel certain misimpressions that arose as a result of the rather terse press release that I issued following the filing of the nolle prosequi. My fellow countrymen and women, in March this year, the lawyers for the Uni Bank directors and shareholders approached me with a proposal of their clients' intention to settle their indebtedness to Uni Bank. In response, I convened a meeting on the 25th of March with them, representatives, and the receiver of Uni Bank, Mr. Ni Amano Dodu. At the meeting, it became obvious to both parties that a reconciliation of Uni Bank's account with the Bank of Ghana should be conducted. Therefore, I authorized the receiver to engage in the reconciliation exercise with them to determine the full scope of Uni Bank's exposure. I directed that the parties adopt a holistic approach that combined liabilities under both the criminal proceedings and the ongoing civil proceedings because they were obviously interrelated, in order to reach a unified resolution that will bring closure to all related matters. The objective was to assess the feasibility of a comprehensive settlement. The charges in the criminal case against the accused persons involved a total amount and the statement of claim, and revise the civil liability down to 2.8 billion Ghana cedis. Okay? So that is on record. That's a public record, and whoever wants to contest this is at liberty to go to the High Court and then, do so. It is important to state for the avoidance of doubt that the total exposure in the criminal case is part of the total civil case exposure. In other words, the 1.2 billion is not in addition to or on top of the 5.7 billion, which was revised down to 2.8 billion. The charges in the criminal case against accused persons involve a total liability. No, sorry, I think I'm repeating myself. Now, the 5.7 billion was made up of the following. That is from the initial, stage of the case. 2 billion being loans and advances which Uni Bank made to related and connected parties. 3.7 billion being payments made on behalf of or on the instructions of the accused persons. Included in A and B above, however, was an amount of 2.1 billion which was alleged to be fictitious loans, to have comprised fictitious loans and fictitious transactions booked by Uni Bank prior to the placement in official administration. During the reconciliation exercise, the accused persons objected to the inclusion of the 2.1 billion on the grounds that the amount did not involve any direct cash outflows which could be recovered. The accused persons also objected to the inclusion of placements of 0.3 billion, that is 300 million, made to Uni Securities. Now, Uni Securities is a Securities and Exchange Commission regulated, not a Bank of Ghana related company that had been placed in liquidation and for which a claim had been filed with the official liquidator. In other words, the money was to be recovered. The recovery of this amount is being pursued independently through insolvency proceedings with the official liquidator of that entity. In summary, the above matters led to the revision of the previously reported exposure of 5.7 billion down to 3.3 billion, which comprise the following. The exclusion of 2.1 billion in the alleged fictitious amounts booked to the account of the shareholder which did not involve cash outflows. In other words, monies didn't go out to anybody. These were just book entries that were designed to make the books of Uni Bank look good. That is how come that in the criminal case, the charge of falsification of accounts was brought against them. So they did not loot the money. They did not give the money to anybody. They just made entries that were meant to give Bank of Ghana, the central bank, the impression that the bank was doing well. Okay? Then the exclusion of 0.3 billion relating to Unibank's placement with a SEC-regulated, SEC-regulated related company currently in receivership, which is being pursued separately through the insolvency proceedings. After prolonged negotiations, the accused persons, by a letter dated 7th May 2025, made a proposal to settle the revised outstanding obligation of 3.3 billion Ghana cedis through a structured approach. The accused persons offered to pay 2 billion Ghana cedis in full and final settlement of the outstanding obligations through the following arrangements. 800 million worth of assets to be transferred directly to Uni Bank, which is in receivership, which will now make that available to the Bank of Ghana. And then their active cooperation and participation to assist the receiver to recover an additional 1.2 billion from the direct beneficiaries paid out on their instructions. Out of the above arrangements, the accused persons have provided landed properties valued at 824 million Ghana cedis to Uni Bank. That is, in receivership. Further, in other words, indirectly to the Bank of Ghana or the Republic of Ghana. Further, the accused persons will be responsible for any shortfall in the proceeds realized from the sale of the landed properties. A total of 0.5 billion has to date been recovered out of the 1.2 billion being pursued from the direct beneficiaries. recovery of the remaining balance of 0.7 billion out of the 1.2 billion Ghana cedis, and the realization of the landed properties provided are expected to be completed over a timeline of 18 months. Although the preference would have been for me and my team for the accused person to settle the proposed amount in cash, immediate settlement in cash was not, from my sense of what transpired at the negotiations, a realistic possibility or a realistic option. In assessing the proposal submitted by the lawyers for the accused persons, I took into account the following factors. The receiver of Uni Bank acknowledged that the fictitious amounts totaling 2.1 billion did not result from cash outflows, but related to accounting entries that overstated the asset base of the bank, which predated Uni Bank's placement in official administration. B, a claim for the placement of 0.3 billion with the SEC-regulated entity was filed by the receiver with the official liquidator in 2019, and its recovery is being pursued separately through the insolvency over 6 years with no immediate resolution in sight. The complex nature of the legal proceedings has significantly delayed any meaningful recovery. Now, come to think of it, those who instituted the criminal proceedings did not foresee the possibility down the line of recovering assets and never engage in any that prolonged litigation could ultimately lead to lower net recovery. That prolonged litigation could ultimately lead to lower net recovery, especially when accounting for legal costs, procedural delays, the time value of money, and the potential dissipation or concealment of assets. By contrast, the current arrangement secures the timely resolution or recovery of over 800 million Ghana cedis in assets and establishes a structured pathway for recovering an additional 1.2 billion Ghana cedis with the active cooperation of the accused persons. On the other hand, should the matter have continued in court, it would likely have faced prolonged delays, including multiple procedural applications, adjournments, and appeals. Even if judgment were eventually obtained in either the civil or criminal proceedings, enforcement and execution could take years, further deferring any meaningful recovery. It is clear from the foregoing that I took a pragmatic, holistic approach by engaging the receiver and the accused persons to broker a resolution that settles both the criminal and civil dimensions of the case. This strategy recognizes that while criminal proceedings are punitive, the real economic value to the state lies in a non-conviction-based asset recovery approach. The terms of the settlement are structured to ensure that the Attorney General, the Bank of Ghana, the Minister of Finance exercise oversight over the recovery of the negotiated amounts. Progress under the agreement will be subject to quarterly reviews to ensure that the accused persons fulfill their obligations as agreed. Ladies and gentlemen of the media and my fellow countrymen and women, it is important to correct certain misunderstandings or distortions, deliberate in some cases, that our team picked from the media space regarding this matter. Since my press release, it has been said that by setting a minimum threshold of 60% for the recovery of assets as a condition for filing a nolle prosequi or terminating the banking sector cases, I have cut a deal which permits persons who have stolen or looted public funds to walk away with 40% of the loot. At least that is the narrative, by some sections of, the Ghanaian populace, particularly from our opponents in the MPP who were responsible for all this mess. Indeed, one writer on Facebook compared my decision to the situation where someone has stolen 6 goods and is being told by the prosecutor to return 4 goods and keep the 2. But my fellow countrymen and women, now this may seem like a joke, but it's a very serious expression of the sense of justice of our community. And it is something that I have used, to, get people who have come to me for plea deals to think, jerk them to think about the community's sense of justice. So, I mean, it is not lost on me, and I wasn't surprised when I read this on Facebook. But the goat thief analogy, intriguing though it may be, is an oversimplification of the matter. This is why. First, Dr. Kobina Dufour and the other persons standing trial were not charged with stealing or looting of public funds. They were charged with causing financial loss to the state, fraudulent breach of trust, falsification of accounts, as I've pointed out earlier, dishonestly receiving, and money laundering. But the facts and the evidence supporting these charges never allege that those standing trial personally benefited from the banking transactions that gave rise to these charges. Now, it's important to make clear that when someone is charged with, for instance, causing financial loss to the state, all right, it does not imply, from a criminal liability point of view, that they took the resources that have been lost. In other words, what we seek to do when we charge someone with causing financial loss to the state is to prove that they either intentionally or recklessly or negligently caused the state to lose resources or to lose funds. All right? Now, those of you who are old enough to remember the Quality Grain case, which came, and went all the way to the Supreme Court, involving the former Deputy Minister of Finance, Victor Salome, and a number of NDC officials in the Rawlings regime. You'll remember that in that case, Justice Afre was at pains to point out that though the accused persons had been convicted of the offense of causing financial loss to the state, they had not been convicted of stealing. They had not been convicted of personally benefiting from, the actions that were the subject matter of the criminal charges. All right? We must also understand that though the charge of fraudulent breach of trust is closely related to the charge of stealing, the facts and the evidence didn't show, okay, that in this particular case, they fraudulently breached their trust because they stood to benefit. Okay, they entered into transactions with third parties, okay, which, pointed to the fact that, according to the case that was filed, they were trustees of depositors' funds. Now, which in itself is legally contestable, right? Because the banker-customer relationship is not one of trusteeship. It is one of contract. Now, that is legally, established in case law. There are case law precedents to the effect that that relationship is not one of trusteeship. So when someone deposits their money in a bank, all right, they are not keeping the money, they are not giving the money to the bank to be held in trust, okay? So that if that were the case, then the beneficiary would be the one dictating how the monies, should be used. But banks are at liberty, because it's a contractual relation, a commercial relationship, at liberty to lend the monies, do, banking transactions with those funds in the way that they see fit, but in a prudential manner, okay? So the basic point I'm trying to make is that these charges were themselves legally contestable, all right? Second, the analogy assumes that these charges, that is the goat thief analogy, assumes that these charges could be proven beyond reasonable doubt. On the contrary, the record shows that the charges were contestable, and there was a high likelihood that the defense could have raised sufficient doubt to procure an acquittal. And if that happened, as seen from the Beige Capital case, I would not have been able to recover even one cedi. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the media and my fellow countrymen and women, when I did the press release, I did not mention Beige Capital because at that point in time, I did not know that the decision was coming down. Now, as Providence would have it, the decision came a day after, right? I can now disclose that Beige Capital offered me or my office 10 million Ghana cedis. You can ask the lawyers for Beige Capital. Ask lawyer, Tadio Sori. They offered 10 million Ghana cedis in settlement. and I refused. Today, I can't get 50 pesos from Beige Capital. So the dynamics are complex. Those who are oversimplifying it and saying this is the good, thief scenario, must understand that, it is more complex than just saying that the Attorney General says bring 4 goods and then keep 2. Third, by the time I assumed office and was approached by the lawyers for the accused persons, no asset tracing had been undertaken and no freezing orders had been obtained by my predecessors who filed the criminal charges. I could have been faced with a situation where the thief would have eaten 4 of the goods, thus leaving me with only one possibility, to recover only 2 goods. All right? In other words, assets depreciate and may even disappear before a diligent prosecutor can lay hands on them. Now, those of you who have followed developments in the, the tracing and recovery of the assets of General Sani Abacha, you remember him, the Nigerian military leader who died, I think, in 1998. Okay? You will realize that, he shipped a lot of the assets overseas, mostly to Switzerland and other parts of Europe and the United States. As we speak, okay, from 1998 till now, the recovery process is still ongoing. And even with the sophistication of the Swiss authorities and the US authorities in collaboration with, Nigerian authorities, recovery is still ongoing. So it is more complicated, than that. For people to think that it is just a question of the goods sitting there and for the Attorney General to say, bring all 6 goods back. But as I have crudely put it, if 4 of the goods have been used for light soup, how do you expect me, to retrieve the goods? Of course, jailing the person is also part of the process of accountability. And I do understand when Ghanaians say we should, jail them. But if we focus on the recovery, it will be very illusionary for anyone to think that the Attorney General or the Republic can recover 100% in every case. In some cases, I may be lucky, or let me say the state will be lucky if the assets are still there, they've not depreciated, they are there in full, and I can lay hands on them. That is how come that, if you have noticed since I came into office, we have always investigated the criminal conduct together with tracing the proceeds of crime. There has been no, except in the National Service case, there has been no major announcement of investigation that has not included the assets of the criminal enterprise. And in the National Service case, I want to let you understand that. You remember that the 4th Estate broke the story. Okay? The 4th Estate broke the story in October. The people who were involved knew that ultimate accountability will be exacted. So they would have, as rational actors, do you expect that the luxury cars they bought, the houses they acquired, all the assets, the bank accounts would still be staying intact, waiting for the prosecutor to come and then lay hands on them? No. So we are doing asset tracing in that case. But it has been very difficult because they started the process of hiding their assets way back in October 2024. But yet, we are coming upon a number of them, and I will make those available at the right time. Lastly, in respect of the case at hand, 100% recovery was not possible, and a conviction was not guaranteed. In the circumstances, my team and I agreed to set a realistic threshold of 60% recovery. Sorry. We recovered 824 million worth of assets, which will be handed over to the state, and established a structured pathway for recovering the additional 1.2 billion Ghana cedis through the civil, process. And these are monies that are being held by third parties that owed Uni Bank, including, for instance, and I think that this is very important, contractors owed Uni Bank at the time that it was placed in administration 2.9 billion Ghana cedis. Uni Bank made overtures to the state to say, look, the Minister of Finance, pay the contractors and let the contractors, because they will be paid through our bank, we can take the 2.9 billion and we can satisfy, our books will, improve, and we can stay afloat as a bank. The then Minister of Finance flatly rejected that and put and with the help of the Bank of Ghana, put Uni Bank into the situation in which we find ourselves. All right? Our current finance minister could have put NIB through the same process, right? But instead of using money to collapse a bank, the Honorable Atuforsen has used the money to revive it, for it to keep jobs and then continue to operate in the, in the banking sector. That is what is called wisdom in governance. Having explained my decision to enter a nolle prosequi in the case of the Republic versus Kwabena Dufo and others, I wish to provide a brief update on the investigations and prosecutions that are currently underway. Trials have commenced in the case of the Republic versus Kwabena Dubois and 3 others, and that of the Republic versus Solomon Asamoah and another. That is the SkyTrain case. In the Kwabena Dubois case, we are calling only 3 prosecution witnesses. Our first witness has concluded his testimony. But for the 3rd accused person's sudden withdrawal in open court of a lawyer's service, our first witness would have been discharged to give way to the 2nd prosecution witness to start testifying. We expect our 2nd witness to start testifying before the beginning of the legal vacation on July 31st, 2025. In the SkyTrain trial, we have concluded the case management conference. It is important to add that, but for the change of solicitors and the multiple medical excuses of the 2nd accused person, that is Prof. Ameyaw Ekumfi, and recently of the lawyer for the 1st accused person, we would have called 2 of the 6 witnesses by now. That notwithstanding, the trial in the SkyTrain case is expected to start before the beginning of the legal vacation. The National Service Authority scandal case was due to be filed last week, as promised, when we stumbled upon evidence of malfeasance involving an account at the Bank of Ghana to which had been transferred an amount of 189 million Ghana cedis. Out of this amount, 80 million Ghana cedis cannot be traced. But we found 2 checks bearing the name and account details of the former Director General, Mr. Osei Asibe, which had been used to withdraw funds totaling a little under 2 million Ghana cedis from the said account. We have therefore halted the filing of charges so as to await the receipt of the evidence from the relevant state agencies, including the Bank of Ghana, Ministry of Finance, and the Controller and Accountant General's Department. In fact, as I speak, the Bank of Ghana signaled to me that this morning they are going to deliver the entire, bank statement, for my attention. I am, however, thank you. I am, however, happy to announce that at least 8 suspects in this investigation have approached my office for plea negotiations, including 3 former officers of the National Service Authority. Some officials have offered to testify against their colleagues, and some vendors and service providers are willing to come clean and testify as prosecution witnesses. When you build your docket well, this is the result that you get. 8, people are willing to testify. Persons, they are not coming to say hearsay. They are not coming to give hearsay evidence. People who were involved, okay? And we are, in negotiations with them and their lawyers. As a precondition, I tell them, you bring back the money that we have calculated that you took, you serve as a prosecution witness. That is the approach that we are using. Now, I'm sure the MPP will be very happy for me to insist that 100% be returned to the Attorney General before any deal can be, cut. Now, a report on the docket for the oral cases, including the mathematical sets, the All Africa Games, and the DRIP scandals are being prepared by the National Investigation Bureau for my attention. I expect to receive that investigative report in a few weeks for work to begin on filing charges in court. The Economic and Organized Crime Office has completed investigations in respect of Wontumi, Chairman Wontumi, and the former National Buffer Stock Company CEO, Mr. Abdul Wahab Hanan, and their accomplices. The results of both investigations will be announced very soon. The police CID have also completed a docket on the Akunta mining case and submitted same to my office. We have prepared charges and sent them back to the police CID for the suspects to be formally charged before their arraignment in court in the coming days. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, my fellow countrymen and women, in conclusion, I wish to remind you of the fact that when I announced the Kobina Idubohin investigation, I was blunt in stating the fact that I am open to engaging in plea bargaining with those who have been investigated and found to have looted or stolen state resources. I minced no words about my intentions and will therefore not shut the door to any accused person willing to enter into negotiations with my office for purposes of reaching a plea agreement. My approach is in consonance with the central plank of the oral, which is to recover the loot, which is to recover all the loot. But of course, you use oral, all advisedly, because as I pointed out clearly, it is not in all cases that it is possible to recover all the loot. So you recover some, realistically possible. Of course, recovering the loot and jailing looters are not mutually exclusive. And I believe that that is what citizens are pushing for. In other words, both can take place, and that will be full-fledged accountability. But anyone familiar with the plea negotiations would agree that it is rare to go into the negotiation room and come out without giving up something in order to clinch a deal. Our plea bargain statute captures that succinctly, as it contemplates that the Attorney General may even go to the extent of dropping charges in exchange for restitution. Also, under the Costs Act 1993, Act 459, an accused may plead guilty to a charge or charges and pay restitution where the offense involves harm to the property of the Republic, including financial resources. In that case, the accused is to be handed a non-custodial sentence. As the Attorney General, I will not oppose the use of Section 35 of the Costs Act to achieve the purposes of oral. Now, Section 35 is mandatory. Once the accused approaches the judge, and pleads guilty to the charge, the judge is mandated, the judge could reject the restitution or reject the offer of the accused person. But once the judge accepts the offer of the accused person, I have no role in it, all right? Then the accused person must be given a non-custodial sentence. In other words, the accused person will walk home. So those who are saying that you are cutting a deal and letting criminals walk must understand that, even the legislative framework existing at the time that I was in law school, I was in final year in Legon when this act was enacted, contemplates that in some cases, the accused can pay restitution and get a non-custodial sentence. So if any accused person offers to come under Section 35, please, ladies and gentlemen, that is what Parliament has enacted. The Parliament of the first Parliament of the Fourth Republic do not expect that I will be able to say, do not impose. If once the judge accepts it, I can make my representation to the judge as to why this is not a fit and proper case for restitution and a non-custodial sentence. But that can be rejected because the statute imposes, right, the power and authority to determine the circumstances under which that will happen in the judge, not in the Attorney General. The Plea Bargain Act, on the other hand, imposes the power and authority to, negotiate the deal in the Attorney General. However, the judge has a role to play. The plea agreement must be endorsed by the judge before, it is accepted. Finally, make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, about my intentions. I want to jail persons who have looted state resources, but at the same time, I am pragmatic enough to know that it is not in every instance that that is possible. In those circumstances, I will opt for non-conviction-based asset recovery. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Attorney General, for that comprehensive briefing. As he indicated at the beginning of his remarks, the session on Ramble in the Jungle will take place sometime next week. I don't want the magnitude of that case to compete with the need for accountability in the decision that he took. He decided that he speaks to this matter today. And then on another opportune occasion, he delves deeper into the Ramble. At this juncture, we will take questions from members of the media.
My name is Shadrach Odamejare, Metro TV. My question has to do, or is around the bank, the cleanup. The president during the campaign promised that banks that were merged will go back to their former state. What happens to the likes of the consolidated bank? And then also on the Ablikuma North rerun.
That is not a matter that the Attorney General will speak to. Policy decision that will emanate.
Right. On the Ablikuma North rerun, we heard some people have been arrested. What is the newest on that? And then with persons engaged in Galamsey, arrests made, and then so far, what's happening? Thank you.
Okay.
It's Maxwell Agbagbo. I work with Joy FM and then Joy News. So filing a nolli prosequi is not an acquittal in itself. I want to find out from the AG that in the face of emerging evidence, in a case where we have emerging evidence, compelling evidence, is he willing to reopen the Uni Bank case? And then the second question would also be about the deportation of some illegal miners. Some weeks ago, the Interior Minister announced a major policy shift. He said, we're not interested in prosecuting foreigners engaged in illegal mining. I want to find out how many of them have been deported, so far.
But again, I've constantly insisted on them to keep questions relevant to the sector. The Interior Minister was here. He made a pronouncement. Asked him, he answered. So why would you then bring?
No, you promised that the AG would answer that question. In fact, no. Two ministers came earlier, and you promised that the AG would answer that question.
You mentioned the
my colleagues will attest to that.
Relevance.
My colleagues will attest to that. You said the AG. Anyway, thank you.
The Interior Minister is the one who does deportation, not the AG. So you can't ask him about deportation. You can ask him about prosecution.
That's why
your colleague asked about prosecution, and it was allowed because it was relevant to the AG's work. Deportation is a remit of the Interior Minister.
Yeah, but I asked him, and you said the agent.
No, I didn't say so.
But it's fine. It's okay.
You asked about the airline, and I said that would be handled by the Environment Minister. Yeah, exactly.
Good morning. Okay, thank you. So currently there are a few So currently, there are few law faculties in Ghana. That includes both public and private universities. So the public universities have more support from government, whilst the private universities do not have. And unfortunately, not everyone will be able to attend the public universities. So I want to ask that what measures are in place to bridge the gap between the public and then the private universities that are running the LLB programs. And then the second question has to do with the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, as part of his manifesto promise, stated vehemently that there is a need to reset legal education. And reset here means that he expanding legal education, where law faculties will be made to train their own lawyers or take a general legal education at the end of the studies. And quite recently, Honorable Roxanne Nelson reiterated government's position. So I want to know when the bill will be laid in Parliament.
Thank you. Minister Abdul Hanan Adam, EIB Network. Minister, my first question has to do with the Uni Bank issue. It will be recalled that the shareholders argued themselves and through their lawyers in court that the amount they were being accused of stealing to buy properties, allegedly.
Such charge.
Okay, so the properties they were said to have bought were indeed in the books of the bank. However, all that needed to have been done was to reassign. Okay, all that needed to have been done was to reassign the properties from holder in whose name they had been registered to the bank. Could you kindly explain if this has been done and how it works? Secondly, I want to find out from you the issue of prosecuting persons involved in the ECG issue. Have you started that, and when should we expect that to happen in court? Thank you.
Number can take more questions, given the length and number.
Thank you very much for the questions. I think some of them, as the Honorable Minister for Government Communications pointed out, are better directed, to some of my colleagues who in some of the sectors. For instance, if you ask what will happen to CBG, that is better answered by the Minister of Finance and the Governor of the Bank of Ghana. Now, with respect to Abdul Kumanov, the arrests have been effected, and you know that when arrests have been effected, you don't go straight, to court. You need to conduct an investigation, prepare a docket, and then you proceed to charge. So that is taking place, and we are taking a very serious view of all electoral, violence. Okay, violence arising out of or in connection with all elections in this country. So for us, it's very comprehensive, and the president has, made it very, very clear that it doesn't matter which side of the political divide you belong to. Investigate and prosecute, all of them. Now, when it comes to the illegal mining, prosecutions are taking place. Okay, we are prosecuting. In fact, we have decided that we are setting up more special courts. Okay, under the New Patriotic Party government, the former Chief Justice Eni Yeboah, designated certain courts as special courts for illegal mining prosecutions. Okay, so we are going to expand those ones, and then also when the tribunals bill, the public tribunals bill, is ready, I have submitted it to Parliament. We'll be sending a lot of them to the public tribunals at the district level for prosecution all over the country. In respect of deported Chinese, as the Honorable Minister has pointed out, I don't have the statistics. Okay, these are better gotten from the Minister of Interior. Now, on legal education, the question was a bit lengthy, but what I picked up are two things: bridging the gap between the private law schools and the public law schools. Now, I don't know what you meant by bridging the gap. If you are talking about government support, someone who establishes their private, a university, has the obligation to find resources for that university to, operate, in terms of, being able to run all its programs and so on. So it is not a duty. If government wants to subsidize them, that is a different matter. That's a privilege, not a right. So I don't think that government will be pouring. In fact, we are having difficulties funding all the existing public universities. And to add the private universities to our load is not, I think, a very prudent thing to do. The second thing that I picked up was with respect to the promise to reset legal education. And that is very, very important. And that promise is that we are going to reform legal education in such a way that access will be expanded. Okay, so that currently we have thousands of LLB holders who cannot get to to become lawyers because they cannot enter the Ghana School of Law. All right. We want the bill that I have drafted and which is will be submitted to cabinet next month. Is to the effect that we are going to literally abolish the Ghana School of Law system. All right. Basically, what we are going to do is that you will have 3 years of legal education to obtain your degree, that is the LLB. After obtaining the degree, the LLB degree, you now do what we call either the clinical legal program or the bar practice course in the university where you got your LLB for another academic year. And then you write what we term the National Bar Exam. Okay, so everybody who has the LLB and who has taken the bar practice course in their school, in their university, all right, will be entitled to write the National Bar Exam. So it will be like what the accountants do, all right? Once you qualify to write the examination, the Chartered Institute of Accountants will administer the exam, and everybody, can write. And if you pass, you become a chartered accountant. That is what is going to happen in order to expand legal education in the country. So the bill, as I speak, in fact, is interesting that you asked because I forwarded the final draft to my able deputy, an academic, Justice Remsai, to review and then give me his input before we submit it to cabinet. That was just only yesterday that I sent it to him. Then there is a question of the assigning of the properties. Okay, that was something that the shareholders, kept saying. You see, the whole case centered around these related parties, activities, okay, transactions, okay, where Holder Holdings, Uni Securities, of course, in the press release, you remember the 0.3 billion, which was given to, which was given to Uni Securities, which is a SEC-regulated entity, which is being pursued. Okay, so the whole idea, that is why the misconception being spread by certain elements, certain citizens, to the effect that Dufour and his family were basically looting, resources from the bank, is misplaced. Okay, these were all related entity transactions. Okay, and I will encourage all of you, you should probably read the Beige Capital Court of Appeal decision because the scenarios are the same, right? So they were insisting that, look, if these are properties held by related parties, simply just transfer them to Uni Bank, and then, you will have you have recovered enough to be able to satisfy the liability. But that was something that was in dispute in the case. Okay. Now with this settlement, it brings all those matters to rest. Secondly, you asked about the ECG. Prosecute. Yes, but that's what I'm coming to. Yes. So the missing containers investigation, I was given a preliminary report on it. Okay, I reviewed the report and I sent it back to the Director General CID to do further investigations. I directed them, and that is what we do in the office. When we read an investigative report and we see gaps, because all that a defense lawyer needs to do is to raise reasonable doubt, okay, and then the case will be thrown out. In order that we prevent a situation where reasonable doubt is being raised, we seal the gaps before we charge the people, and we have sent it back for them to be to do further investigations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll take another round of questions. As I've indicated, the question must be relevant to the remit of the Attorney General. No extraneous matters can be brought in.
My name is Wisdom Hedejime. I work with the XYZ Broadcasting. Minister, regarding Section 35 of the Courts Act, and the plea bargain, how do we marry the two? And would you recommend that the Constitutional Review Committee relook at that provisions? And then number two, you said you want to prosecute people, and it's something you want to do. Which key issues are the cases that you want to stamp your authority regardless to see people in Sawam?
Formula Cliche, I work at TV3. Now, still on the Uni Bank case, was the agreement made with the accused reached under the Plea Bargaining Act? If yes, are you willing to make public this agreement? And if no, why was the agreement not made under the Act? And also, will your office consider the possibility of requesting for vacation courts to continue with the cases of oral, looking at the magnitude of the cases and also the time frame in terms of how constrained you may be looking at the number of years you have?
Thank you very much, AG. My name is Patrick Asot-Boedu with Radio Gold. Unfortunately, through your presentation, I didn't hear cases like the PDS scandal. I didn't hear of the National Cathedral Project scandal. I didn't also hear of the, I did not also hear of the Dr. Hamid Mustafa, the former Chief Executive Officer.
But Patrick, that is a matter being handled by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. So how does the Attorney General come to speak about a matter that is being handled by another
Okay,
agency?
so I can brush that one aside. Then also,
the Attorney General has said from day one that there are over 280 cases. Surely he cannot do a briefing on 280 cases within an hour. And so if you didn't hear about any case, you are most certainly going to hear about it as and when those cases mature for them to be taken to court.
All right, so then let me find out what about the PDS and also the National Cathedral.
280 cases. 280 cases, Patrick. And therefore you've not heard about one case. Surely it will be broached as and when time goes on. When the Attorney General did his first briefing, he spoke about 2 or 3 cases. In fact, there have been briefings where he's spoken about just one case. So you cannot expect to hear about all the cases in one briefing. I think that those of you in the media must also help to avoid some of the narrative that tends from the normal practice. When a fact is obvious, you don't continue to belabor it. I think we must help establish that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Good afternoon. My name is Emmanuel Romeo Tete. I work with Ahonto FM. Mr. Minister, there are growing concerns from civil society and political observers about perceived selective justice in prosecuting political opponents while shielding government allies. My question is, how does your office respond to such criticisms, and what steps are you taking to assure Ghanaians of impartial justice? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last 2 questions.
Good afternoon. My name is Julius, and I report for the Ghanaian Times. Mr. Minister, mine has to do with this council has argued that there's no linkage between the property he has acquired and you claim it's missing at his outfit. How do you respond to this? Do you still hold the view that Mr. Duboahin acquired the properties when they even argue that those properties were acquired before he took office in 2017? And then, secondly, ORA was a major plank of the NDC's manifesto ahead of the election. 6 months down the line, 7, justice hurried, they say justice buried. Justice delayed is justice denied. How do you marry these two so that you don't disappoint Ghanaians who are urging to see the loot which people think has been taken out of the country recovered? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so you have the final word as far as questions are concerned.
Honorable Machi, Adena Mosre. And I'll pay my question here, general question. Reset na President Mahama can one seven. You know your toy because I had the papa. Me person me bisa say. Me once a politician be a quadra remand bear more than 1 year now 6 months. But I can't say woman see ya. Obiti me da remand the son as I'm crying fret. Patro reset the baby because because Ghana wuni sika. I say adwene bia ba say wuni sika wasem sha. Ukoko to kura ntimi ndibem. Ata yi ni pe ya de ne tu mu a afa na yi na pie say wonye boni bia yi. Enipa egun se wo mo wo sa situation wo mo dross pa. Patro eji sa situation wo be reset na okwan ben so. E na afa so me patro o. Menya sure say eye wudisem. So obeti amonone na opeso obesom ne man. Yera honorable Jachi question asem no. Me gidi se President Mahama senki ebe yan sisanye bi ebe ma sa amra no. Emu adane kakra. Because me frija my north, my bob bra kakra wa bruchi na pese me koso me manfo a. Enye criminal say baby a me ya American ni kita passport na me sa wa Ghana passport enu ntimi nya ayi tumi e wo Ghana patcho sa amra no. Mo ye ne den e kodada na asesen. Patcho.
That's it. And attention, I'm not sure about your tree, but in the event that you didn't fully grasp it, okay, fine, that's okay. All right.
Honorable Minister for Government Communications, I do understand you, properly. It's just that I don't make an attempt to speak it. Because when I speak it, you know the Akan drama. You remember the Akan drama? Usually there will be a character called Musa or Atenga or something. The way they speak, they speak the Chui, that's how I speak it. So I wouldn't want any, I wouldn't make any attempt to speak it. So, but yeah. So the first question is in relation to review of Section 35, right? You know, Section 35 is a standard provision. In most common law jurisdictions, such, regimes exist. Okay? So, it has rarely been used. And I don't know whether its use is necessarily inimical to public welfare. But if there's any assessment that the use of Section 35 is inimical to the public interest, it is left to Parliament to review it. It's not even a question of constitutional review because it's just a statute. Okay, so I do not think that in the current circumstances, I am, against the use of Section 35, and I'll definitely not be bringing any bill in Parliament to repeal it because I don't think that it is necessarily in and of itself, okay, inimical to public welfare for people to be able to pay restitution and get non-custodial sentences. I do understand the need to exact full accountability and jail people, all right? But the existing legal regime must also be assessed in terms of its promotion of public welfare. If you look at Article 1 of the Constitution, it's very, very clear that all governmental powers must be exercised in the name of and for the welfare of the people of Ghana. So when we enact laws, we communicate to the public, the legislative position which we think is welfare, enhancing. If at some point in time we think that it is welfare reducing, we will, review and probably, repeal it. Now, there's this question about whether the agreement was made under the Plea Bargain Act. No, the agreement wasn't made under the Plea Bargain Act. All right? I took the decision because of the complexity of the matter. We merged the civil, okay, as well as the criminal aspects of it, okay, for purposes of a holistic negotiation that will result in an agreement. And so it is not possible to bring, for instance, the civil dimension under the Plea, Bargain Act. And therefore, I took the decision that let us look at it holistically, merge the two, and come to an agreement that will, enhance public welfare. Secondly, there was a question about vacation costs. Okay, yes, there will be some judges sitting during the vacation. Okay, and I expect that when if the courts that these cases have been filed in, before, are sitting during the vacation, we definitely, myself, my deputy, and my team, will definitely not have, a legal vacation. We'll have to stay to do the work. A question was asked about PDS, which has been overruled by the Minister for Government Communications. But so you see, you listed a whole number of them. All right. Once we get to a point where there is an update, I will give you, that update on it. So, for instance, if you take National Cathedral, okay, we just commissioned Deloitte to do a forensic audit. In addition to the normal audit that they did, they are going to do a forensic audit on it. Now, once I have the forensic audit, report, and the investigative report, is concluded, then I can announce that we have, concluded investigations in the National Cathedral case. Now, the question of selective prosecution, right? When I announced the dropping, the termination of cases involving former NDC officials and appointees, I gave reasons, okay, concrete reasons that legal professionals agreed with. All right. And I also said that the cases were not being terminated because of the political coloration of the persons who were before the courts. Okay? I assessed them on their merits and then decided that I was not going to go forward with them. Right? I believe that the proof of the pardon is in the eating. So I have always said that when we come to a point where NDC current NDC appointees are being investigated and prosecuted, that is when Ghanaians will know that, I'm a man of my word. Okay? I have said it time and again that the fact that you are an appointee of this government doesn't mean that you are immune from prosecution. All right? But if you bring baseless charges against people, like they did to the finance minister, and then finally went back looking for evidence, you don't expect me, at my level, as a senior member of the bar, a former law lecturer, to come and look at that case and say, please proceed, because if I drop it, they will say because the two of us belong to the same political party. Okay, I don't take that as any serious criticism. All right. So yes, we are not engaged in selective prosecution. You will notice that there is a marked difference between what we are doing and what was done in the past. Okay, just look at the investigations. Look at what we did in, Kobina Edubohi. All right, and you will understand. Now, that dovetails into the question about Kobina Edubohi. The matter is sub judice, right? It is before a court of law. I wouldn't want to come out and rehash our case, in the media by, rebutting some of the arguments that the council have been making. But we have filed the case. We have evidence on record of the date of publication. The date of purchase of the properties with receipts from the real estate, people. We have the date of the construction of the Oyarefa, estate. So, and then the one at Asokoro Mampong. We have everything. So if council comes out to say that they were constructed or purchased prior to his being, appointed, then he should bring the countervailing evidence. All right. Edubohi was appointed to in 2007 as a staff of the National, Signals Bureau. All right. It was in 2017 that he became the director of the bureau. Okay. So is he saying that from, I mean, before 2007, he bought those properties, or before 2017 that he bought those properties. Okay, so I'm not going to rehash our arguments, here to the media. Now, the question of delay. You see, if you go back to 2017, okay, by this time, how many people were convicted by the MPP? How many cases were filed by the MPP? In fact, trials hadn't started in any case. Because, remind you, okay, as a senior member of the NDC legal team, I was almost invariably involved in most of the cases that were brought. Or I used to, sometimes if I'm not counsel, I will attend court with, the Honorable Felix, Fosukwachi and co. All right. So by this time, in 2017, had they convicted anybody? They are the ones who are leading this narrative that there is a delay in oral just to give us, a sense of desperation and, make us look bad. Okay? But come to think of it, I have given you an update where we have started trying. Look, when we file our charges. Within 2 weeks, we file our witness statements and supporting documents. That is a record. In the Atuforcing case, it took 6 months to file witness statements. You can go back and check. 6 months to file just witness statements. We file within 2 weeks. Okay? That should tell you how hard we are working and how diligent we are with our investigations. That is why I told Ghanaians that I will never go to court, okay, and file charges against anybody to persecute the person without evidence. I will never do that. And so there is no delay whatsoever. We are going at a very supersonic speed as far as oral is concerned. Now, also remember that, okay, conviction depends, on the judge, on the court. If I send the matter to court, I cannot be the one determining when the person is convicted. And so it will be, if I were laid back, allowing for long adjournments, not being serious with the cases and so on, then you can accuse me of delay. However, if I'm doing everything possible to ensure that there's speed and efficiency in the prosecution, okay, how can you blame me that there is delay in the execution of oral? Then also, my sister asked about remand. It is true, all right? And when you speak about this issue, to me, it is like carrying coal to Newcastle. The reason is because in my previous life, I ran the Center for Public Interest Law. That is separate. In fact, I established the Center for Public Interest Law years ago. And I did studies. You can go on the internet and Google studies on remand, the long periods of remand, in Ghana. And you are right. It's not usually the white-collar criminals who do that. It's the proverbial goat thief, the cassava thief, and so on and so forth. All right? They are the ones, sometimes it's because they don't have money to hire lawyers. And the legal aid system is under-resourced, understaffed, and sometimes they don't even know that they are entitled to legal aid. Okay, so sometimes when we did our study, you get to Accra Central Police Station, and somebody has been in remand, a police remand for 6 months. That is unacceptable. Okay, so the reset will include reset in the reform of the prison system. Okay, the UNODC, the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime, all right, is working with us, on what we call the Mandela rules. Okay, that will include shortening and the period in which people stay on remand. Now, on your question on dual citizenship, if I understood it Basically, it was to the effect that the fact that somebody has gotten the citizenship of a foreign country should not bar them, from contesting contesting elections. There is a bill which was pioneered by Professor Koku Asare, known on Facebook popularly as Koku Azar. All right, and we are working with him. He's, taking it all the way to Mr. President. Mr. President supports it, fully, and I support it fully. I think that disability should be taken away. And so once in the constitutional review process, we are definitely going to touch on the question of dual citizenship and qualification to run for public office, because they are also our citizens. So I wish to thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Ahmed Swale, the report is still with, CID. There's an update, there will be an update very soon because of the fact that some evidence is coming into the docket that was previously not made available. So I'll talk with Director CID and then give you an update subsequently. Thank you very much, and God bless all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Attorney General, for those comprehensive answers. So this is where we draw the curtains down on today's program. We'll come your way on Wednesday with yet another Minister of State to delve into his or her sector and give us an update of where things are. So let me thank all of you for coming. See you on Wednesday.
ABC Newsroom. Entertainer and reggae star Bob Marley is now patient in the Uni.
Right, it's time for Good Afternoon Ghana, and we've had a session with the Minister of Justice, Attorney General, and Minister of Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayeni, who took his turn today at the Government Accountability Series. It has been going on for about a week now, and almost all the ministers are taking their turns. Today is the turn of the Justice or the Office of Justice. And so he has come to address a few issues. I'm sure we'll give you excerpts of it, maybe subsequently. And today, Good Afternoon Ghana, we'll also, take a closer look at the updates and all the issues that are coming up as far as the Boko conflict is concerned. We'll try and speak with persons, who are speaking to the matter. The Edu Watch has released a statement also on Boko. We'll try and also visit the Gami Institute and speak with Austin Gami, who is an ADR expert, to find out from him what we're getting wrong as a country. And if negotiations have failed, or the first attempt led by the Otumfo has failed or is failing, I'm not sure how to describe it. We'll find out where we are at that level or at this level and what we should do next. So most of the issues will be captured here. Updates, breaking news will come here on Good Afternoon Ghana. But for now, I have Desmond, who is also standing by with most of the stories at hand. Desmond, you're welcome, and happy Monday.
Thank you very much, Annie. Happy Monday to all of us, but of course to us as a country. Since Saturday till now, a lot has been going on with respect to the passing of Daddy Lumba DL. And but of course, I know you're a personal person also. My condolences to you also, Manny.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so it's time for the news updates here on Good Afternoon Ghana with me, Desmond Okrekudan. So let's take a look at our headlines now. Coming up, government has announced there's a total ban on all persons in the Nalirugu and Boko townships and the environs from carrying arms, ammunition, and any offensive weapon. We'll go to Boko and bring you more. We will also take you to Nalirugu in the northeast region, where a member of parliament for the area is demanding an urgent probe into the killing of senior high school students Oman is out there and we'll be speaking to him in this bulletin. Plus, Ghanaians split over ambassador designate to South Korea. Could you choose appointment, patriot or outsider? We'll tell you more also in this bulletin. Please stay with us. Hello again. Let's get into the details of the stories. And government has imposed a new curfew timeline on Boko, Nalerigo and surrounding communities effective from 2 p.m. to 6 a.m. daily, beginning on Sunday, 27 July, to further notice. And there's more in this report.
Fresh waves of violence have gripped the troubled town of Boko following the recent killing of a Kusasi chief in Kumasi, believed to have sparked a string of reprisal attacks. 2 additional individuals were reportedly killed in Kumasi in connection with the ongoing chieftaincy tensions, triggering renewed unrest in Boko. On Saturday night, a student of Boko Senior High School was allegedly dragged from his dormitory and shot dead by unknown assailants who gained entry by scaling the school's perimeter wall. The victim, identified as Musi, is believed to have been mistaken for an affiliate of one of the factions involved in the protracted chieftaincy dispute. In a related development, the residence of the Member of Parliament for Boko and Majority Leader Mahama Yariga was vandalized and set ablaze later the same night. Residents have reported sustained gunfire exchanges across parts of the municipality over the past 2 nights, heightening fears and forcing many to remain indoors. In a statement issued by the Ministry of the Interior, the government explained that the imposition of the curfew in Boko, Nalerigo and nearby communities forms part of broader efforts to restore peace in the affected areas. It also serves as a critical humanitarian purpose to provide a secure environment for the safe evacuation of students from various educational institutions in the conflict zones.
Well, staying with the situation in Boko, Amaprat, who is the press secretary to the vice president, Professor Nana Jino Pokwajamat, emphasized earlier on Good Morning Gather that enforcing peace in Boko is imperative for the government. She stressed the importance of unity in addressing conflict escalation nationwide, attributed persistent tensions largely to political interference. Meanwhile, Dr. Ikuyamuako, a member of the New Patriotic Party's communication team, called for peace, adding that Dr. Bawumia has been vindicated in the matter.
We all know, I'll keep mentioning the elephants in the room. We all know that political interference is a major reason why we are here. We all appreciate that fact. So the minute you start to politicize the issue, then there's a question about what's your interest, what's your angle, what are you saying, and what are you not saying? Then what are you doing, and what are you not supposed to be doing? You know, so those conversations can be had. But those conversations are not helpful in these circumstances. We are talking about the lives of people in a region. We are talking about property. We are talking about the economic implications it would have for all of us in this country, not just the people of that region alone, right? We are grateful for the intervention of our traditional leaders, you know, the Otunfo Oseitu Asante, Asante Hene, we can talk about the Nairi, we can talk about, I forget his name or his title. Help me. Zagrana, right? We can speak about all of these traditional leaders who themselves have come in and are trying to help the situation.
I don't think anybody should lose their lives for any reason, and especially for conflicts that does not directly involve them. That becomes the issues that we face when there are ethnic conflicts. It becomes simply people getting victimized by belonging to a particular ethnic group or not necessarily because they are directly involved or they have done anything wrong. So we will urge and plead with all those involved to let peace prevail, so that we can move on as a country. What is, for me, very disappointing has been how this conflict was managed prior to the swearing in of the new His Excellency John Mahama-led government, because as today we are all able to confidently and comfortably admit this conflict is something that predates all of us. It was there before we were born. By getting into the election last year, it became something that was topical, something that was thrown about, because it turned out that the flag bearer of the new patriotic party, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who was also the vice president at that time, belonged to one of the warring factions. And that was basically all that it was. Because that piece of information existed, people across the political aisle decided to make political capital of it.
Still on Boko, government has announced a shift in its strategy from peacekeeping to peace enforcement in the conflict-stricken Boko area, following a recent upsurge in violence that threatens to undermine the fragile peace process. A statement issued by the presidency on Sunday, July 27, and this is the information on that. So there you have it on the screen. The statement from government says that the government of Ghana is stepping up its approach from peacekeeping to peace enforcement in Boko and other affected areas due to the recent escalation of violence, which could derail the peace-building process. The Ghana Armed Forces have been deployed to maintain law and order as we intensify curfews to ensure public safety. We assure the public that the Ghana Armed Forces will take all necessary measures to protect lives and property. It continues that the government commends His Majesty Otumfuo Sett II for mediating the conflict and appreciates all stakeholders who are supporting the peace process. The Otumfuo mediation, with the genuine help of Nairi and Zugrana, had almost brought finality to the conflict until the very recent killings, which have necessitated drastic actions to protect all in the interest of the greater good. Government urges all parties to refrain from violence and support the peace process. Residents are advised to fully cooperate with the Ghana Armed Forces to ensure peace. And it wraps up saying, while regretting the inconvenience this peace enforcement intervention may cause to peace-loving people within the affected areas, the government of Ghana remains committed to restoring peace and stability in Boko and other affected areas, and is taking very necessary measures to ensure the safety and security of all residents, including students. Felix Kwachiofosu writing that the spokesperson to the minister actually for government communications and spokesperson to the president. We'll definitely keep tabs on what is happening in Boko and bring you more details of that subsequently. Now, away from that, the District Chief Executive for the North Gonja District, Abdullah Nasiru, has pledged to provide sustainable jobs for charcoal producers in the district to stop the felling of trees for charcoal burning. He said the move would protect the fauna and flora of the district.
Popularly known as the Black Diamond, charcoal production is one of the primary means of survival for rural people in the northern half of the country. But to what extent does this cost the environment, and how is it contributing to changes in the climate? Annually, about 1 million trees are cut down and processed into charcoal across the globe. Stronger winds, floods, and destruction of lives and property are some of the aftermath of indiscriminate tree cutting to the environment. But many reasons account for the youth venturing into the charcoal production value chain, either as producers, loaders, or suppliers. For some youth, charcoal burning is lucrative, while others say it is owing to unemployment and lack of requisite skills.
Business.
The clampdown on the increment in the felling of trees the district chief executive for the North Gonja district, a viable destination for charcoal business, is pledging alternative livelihood empowerment to the producers.
I remember I mentioned engagement with the people, and that will also do with the traditional authority too, because they are the owners of the land. So engaging all of them, and then, as you said, they said that is their alternative source of work, or that is their source of livelihood.
As efforts to meet stakeholders linger on, hundreds of trees continue to fall to the blades of chainsaw operators, directly contributing to climate change issues.
Now to the Western region, and the Tender Board Review Committee in the region is concerned about ongoing projects that have been stalled in the second data credit metropolis. Now, Chairman for the committee has attributed the severe flooding in the city to the delay in the completion of these projects. Western regional correspondent Zambaga Rufai Samino has more in this report.
There are a number of road projects currently ongoing in the second data credit metropolis. The roads include the famous interchange in the heart of the city, which has been abandoned for reasons associated with funding. Unfortunately, the repercussion during this rainy season has been dire due to avoidable floods inundating the city. The Western Region Tender Board Review Committee is unhappy with the development and calls for quick action to remedy the situation. Kwesi Ade Blankson is chairman of the committee.
Most of our problem is littering and then putting garbages. When it's rain, people use the gutter as a dumping site. They will go and dump everything to the water. The water will carry it away. But that's very bad.
One of the engineers supervising the ongoing project, Samson Tete, who accompanied the team during an inspection, explained the challenges currently confronting the project.
We will have to inform the appropriate authorities and then see to that this problem is fixed. In fact, it impacted negatively on the residents around, and as city managers and engineers, we should not sit down for things like this to reoccur.
Once these projects are completed, the committee anticipates that most of the ongoing floods in the city will be curtailed.
Now, Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman has assured the commended traditional area of the government's commitment to addressing pressing development challenges in the region. These include the revival of the Commander Sugar Development Company Limited and the rehabilitation of key road infrastructure. The assurance was given during a courtesy call on the Paramount Chief of the Commander Traditional Area, Ketichie Kome, the 7th.
The visit to the Commander Traditional Council by the Vice President was to thank them for their support, which was instrumental to the party in winning the 2024 general election. Paramount Chief of Commander Okatechie Kome the 8th in his address raised some concerns about the need to urgently implement key developmental projects within the region with a strong focus on job creation and infrastructure development. At the forefront of this appeal is a call for the revival of operations at the Commander Sugar Development Company Limited, also known as the Commander Sugar Factory.
Because someone yankopon yimi se mutwa mu wo sugar factory ho a mu ho a na sametical ma na me smitazi me yimi de aye wan yusu ade ho kase na ane makwan itachini base a pepepe a waja hyem obeya jinje nazi usande oye gane hina japazi wala ofie nti ni mefia asam na mobaya mrante ne ketesia wobanya ahozen won yedwuma ye nti na bezen kreye mo a ifia asam wokwani mamba be mo nwa tonto osande oya da na me de shi fefefe o leba huntuma so kanodo o zibi krom Besre, Commander Traditional Area.
Was Okatechi Kome the 8th. You're still watching the news updates here on Good Afternoon Ghana with me, Desmond Krekudan. So now let's turn attention to some of the stories. And President John Dramani Mahama has nominated Kojo Choi, a prominent businessman and fintech entrepreneur, as Ghana's ambassador designate to the Republic of South Korea. The nomination, confirmed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, marks a strategic diplomatic move aimed at deepening bilateral ties between Ghana and South Korea.
Kojo Choi, a Korean-born entrepreneur who became Ghanaian through years of investment and cultural engagement, moved to Ghana at an early age and pursued his education in the country's public schools. Kojo Choi, also known as a great pillar for leading the fintech company PaySwitch and promoting the arts in Ghana. In 2018, Kojo Choi served as the deputy head of mission for the Ghanaian delegation during the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang and donated thousands of dollars to support Ghana's only athlete at the event. His appointment signals a renewed focus on leveraging economic diplomacy in Ghana's foreign policy, particularly with countries leading in digital transformation and technological advancement. Choi's extensive experience in the fintech sector position him as a key figure in driving mutually beneficial partnerships in a rapidly evolving global economy.
And this particular news, set social media on fire. Lots of, thoughts from those on social media. We'll definitely bring you more of that subsequently. But that's it for the news update. I'm Desmond Okreku. Back to Annie Frampo for the rest of the program. Annie.
Yeah, Desmond, thank you. Thank you for the updates there.
As always.
All right, so I will stay on and give you some more stories with some more explanation and details to what has been, breaking across the country. President, let me ask you how the passing of DL came to you.
Well, it was Saturday. I don't know where I was when I saw it, but when it came out, of course, you had some persons trying to say, we've always had the news that the Lumba had passed, and so it could be another rumor and all of that, until the announcement came on his official radio channel, and also the statements from the family, and then everybody knew that indeed that was what had happened. The industry has been rocked. In fact, not just it's the whole country, from the presidency to known politicians to the industry, the entertainment industry itself. We've lost arguably the greatest musician of all time in this country. And
that was carefully couched.
I just have to be so. Arguably, he is. A lot of people believe that no musician can compare himself to Daddy Lumba in this country.
I don't know. Kojo is a fantastic musician.
So that's what the argument
also a legend.
always goes through whether he is, but arguably.
we can settle the debate with number of songs, number of albums.
Yes.
Number of albums, and maybe awards,
yes,
if you may.
The last list that I saw about the songs by Kojo, he had, I beg your pardon, Daddy Lumba, he had released about 202 songs throughout his span as a musician in the country. Yeah, and that's over.
For Kojo?
No, for Daddy Lumba.
Yeah, Daddy Lumba is over 200.
Yeah, over 200 songs. He was just about to even record a retirement album, and then he would have just stayed out of the space. But unfortunately, this incident has happened. We know that on Saturday there is a vigil that will be held in his honor in Accra and also in Kumasi. And then tomorrow, the book of condolence will be opened at his residence for persons to come in to, write whatever they want to write about him. We'll definitely be there to capture all of that and bring that to you subsequently. So it's a really sad one for the country. Charles Kojo Fosu. I was going to ask your favorite song of him.
I think that debate can easily be settled. And no disrespect to Kojo fans. I am a Kojo fan. I love his songs. But if I really have to be fair to choose between, the greatest of all times, between him and Kojo, I would choose Daddy Lumba. Not because he's passed, but I'm looking at statistics.
Yes,
right?
yes, definitely.
I'm looking at statistics, and I'm looking at number of play. Daddy Lumba will normally have his songs played almost everywhere. Kojo is sometimes selective. Where people want to play Kojo songs is a little very selective the choice of what that Lumba just cuts across
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of the
cuts across.
Yeah, he cuts across because he goes with all kinds of faces when he writes songs. It fits everywhere: hope, love, joy, sadness, funeral, like just everywhere.
Everything.
So he sort of touches on every class of the society.
So for now, we've lost a music god in this country. When I was on my way to work, I just wanted to listen to his channel and see what is going on there.
Yeah.
They were playing some of his songs, Adakatia, and the ones that are...
Which was the favorite song? I mean,
my
which
favorite
of the
song
songs
of
was your favorite? What?
So I can't say that. Mariam.
I didn't even get it.
Mariam, I can't.
Desmond, I'll see you tomorrow.
Definitely, Yanni.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So may his soul rest in peace as we all, are sending the condolences. Obviously, it's a hit to the whole country, to the whole nation. So that Lumba, may his soul rest in perfect peace. But it gives us a clarion call to also pay a tribute to people we deem as celebrities. Kojonchi, definitely one of them. Recently, we were hearing about some other classical musicians or classic musicians that we've had in the country, and all have to receive some honor as they still have some days with us, years with us. We need to honor them before they leave us here on earth. All of us will die one day, but as you're alive, give reverence to whom reverence is due. You're watching Good Afternoon Ghana, and we'll take a little breather. When we come back, we'll get into the issues.
Whether you're a wholesaler, retailer, or consumer, MNC Logistics and Trading is your trusted partner in minerals and food commodities trading. Experience the difference with MNC Logistics and Trading for your commodities trading. We operate a well-equipped laboratory that smelts and assays gold to ensure transparent, credible, and reliable minerals transactions. Our general food commodity market deals with imports and exports of food products such as rice, sugar, and grains. We pride ourselves on delivering products that meet the highest standards of quality and taste. With our expertise in international trading and logistics, we bridge customers far and wide. Locate us at number 4 Neosai Interfo Avenue, East Legon, Accra. Call us on 030-299-8246 or visit our website www.mnclogisticsandtrading.com. MNC Logistics and Trading, hub of confidence.
I'm here at Mycom JA Limited to show you the Promethean Active Panel, the ultimate tool for corporate institutions, hospitals, schools, and your home. With its crystal clear 4K display and an unbreakable screen with an ultra responsive touch technology, this isn't just a screen, it's a game changer. For corporate institutions and in schools, this active panel can be used for Zoom meetings and PowerPoint presentation. And your homes are not left behind. You can use it to watch all your favorite programs by just connecting to a Fire Stick, and you can get access to channels like Netflix and Amazon, and voila, you are in there. At Mycom JA Limited, we provide you with the best quality products from the United States of America with 1-year warranty. You can get an active panel at a discounted price of 18,000 Ghana Cedi only, and it comes with a Fire Stick, a webcam, and a microsystem. You can locate us at Chado Container behind the Trade Fair. Visit Mycom JA Limited today and elevate your tech.
No matter how far you run away, you always come back to where you started.
Tortured, mutilated, fingers cut off. I can lend you the money. My boss believes in giving players another chance.
You don't know what to do if you don't have the money to pay back. Come and listen to me.
Sir, it's done. Good. 1 week. That's all you got to pay up.
You've been gambling. Again.
Unfortunately, we're still chasing shadows. He's clearing the board to make way for something bigger.
How could you do this to us, God? Who's there? Hey!
I can fix this.
All right, welcome back to the program. It's Good Afternoon, Ghana. Let's now give you a breakdown of quite a number of issues. But we start off with Boko, definitely having to do with lives that we have to protect going forward. I'm sure everybody is tired of this matter. Everybody is sick of it. Everybody just wants to take a breath of all the clashes and gunshots and everything. Rather, it is escalating, and we've recorded quite a number of updates where one of the chiefs in Boko was shot dead in the Ashanti region just last week. This week, we've reported of students being shot in school, and following which secondary schools have been closed down because we're making sure that we protect lives first before everything else. So let's go on to the phone lines. Papa will give us some updates of what's exactly the curfew that has been imposed, because the government's communications has issued a statement indicating how, okay, so the statement is the one on the screen where Presidency Communication is assuring us on how they are trying to keep the curfew so other activities can be, ensured to protect the rest of the lives left. We have some. Okay, so the statement is what was given to you by my colleague Desmond, who read it earlier. It says again that the government of Ghana is stepping up its approach from peacekeeping to peace and enforcement in Boko in other affected areas to the recent escalation of violence, and which could derail the peace-building process. Now, the Ghana Armed Forces also have been deployed to maintain law and order. As we intensify curfew to ensure public safety, we assure the public that the Ghana Armed Forces will take necessary measures to protect lives and property. And that's what, and that's the statement that was released by the government yesterday to give us or bring us up to speed. Right, so we'll speak with Dee Baba, who has joined us via phone to give us some more updates. Dee Baba, thank you for your time, and good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Annie.
Yourself, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, and where do you find yourself now?
I'm currently in Tamale, but a whole lot of information is flowing in from various parts of the Northeast and Upper East region regarding the Boko conflict. In fact, a while ago, I was at the Tamale Teaching Hospital where some victims of the 2 nights fighting in Boko are receiving treatment at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, including a very small boy, about 2-3 years boy, who also got injured through the fighting in Boko some few nights ago. So the issue, even though it is in Boko as we speak, it is escalating to different parts of the northern part of Ghana because, like we all know, yesterday curfew was imposed on Naleru and its environs because 2 students were shot some 2 days ago at Naleru Senior High School, and the issue was suspected to be connected to the Boko conflict because, according to our information, one of the boys who were shot at Naleru is a Kusasi and the other guy is a Bimoba boy. Even though police are still investigating the issue, but many people believe that it was a reprisal attack after a young boy at Boko Senior High School was also dragged out of the dormitory and killed by unknown people. So that is what is happening. And with regards to the curfew imposed in Naleru yesterday, the curfew could not hold because the youth of Naleru said there wasn't any reason for any curfew to be imposed on the good people of Naleru and its environs. And around 10 p.m. last night, people were still on the streets of Nalerugu going about their businesses, even though the outskirts areas, people obeyed the rule of the curfew. But within the town, many people did not obey the rules of the curfew because, according to them, it is unjustifiable. And this morning, the overlord of the Mampurugu Kingdom released a statement saying that the curfew imposed on his people are unjustified, and for that matter, they are not ready for it, calling for government to immediately revoke or lift the curfew on the good people of Nalerugu, because according to them, according to him, there's no reason to impose any curfew on the good people of Nalerugu as we speak. He also made mention that the shooting and killing of the two young boys at Nalerugu Senior High School is unfortunate, and he is calling on government and security agencies to swiftly investigate the issue and bring the perpetrator to book. According to him, what happened is a loss not to Nalerugu, not to Kusasis or Mampurusis, but a loss to the whole country, because those young people were promising to become good people in the future. But the youth of Nalerugu are not also happy, because according to them, they don't see any reason why a curfew will be imposed on them. And for that matter, it seems they are not ready to abide by the curfew rules in Nalerugu and its environs.
Dibaba, let me find out from you. A couple of newspapers, reported on different number of students who lost their lives yesterday. If you can confirm, are they 2 or they 3?
They are 3. 2 at Nalerugu Senior High School and 1 at Boku Senior High School.
Okay.
That is what is on record as we speak. But many people were also injured, like I mentioned, as some people are at Tamale Teaching Hospital receiving treatment, including a very young boy who was also injured in the knee through the shootouts that happened some few nights ago. But I can confirm to you that for the records, we are aware of only 3 students, 1 from Boku Senior High School and 2 from Nalerugu Senior High School as we speak.
Describe to me how disturbing this situation was, because according to reports, and if you can confirm, the students were dragged, at least one of them I know was dragged out of the dormitory and taken into the open, and shot at. I'm struggling to use the words because I'm on air, murdered like a hunted animal. Describe to me how disturbing it was, because I am lost as to how we are unable to even trace when we have military stationed in the area and no intelligence or intel has been able to pick that. People can just go and pick a human being and execute the way they have done it.
It's very disturbing. It's very disturbing because if you look at the situation, the information we have gathered from the Boku area, the student was dragged out of the dormitory into the school compound and murdered, which is very unfortunate. And it is true that that really happened in the Boku Senior High School. And with regards to Nalerugu Senior High School, they went into the dormitory where the 2 boys were lying down, and they were also murdered on their beds. And that is exactly what happened in Nalerugu and Boku. It's very disturbing. And looking at the situation, if we are going to be frank with ourselves, the efforts being put in place to resolve this issue, I am not seeing it to be something that can resolve the issue, because the 2 sides, the 2 factions, they are taking entrenched positions. It is becoming very difficult for them to listen to each other. And the loss is not only for one party, because even if today the conflict should stop, I think there won't be any winner, because both sides have already lost precious lives. And that is the disturbing part of the whole issue. And I think the leaders of the northern part of the country should put their heads together and go into this issue, because I am seeing what is happening at the Ashanti Palace, even though we are all hoping for the best to come out of it. But what is happening back home, it will be very difficult for issues to be resolved at the Manshia Palace, because the people don't trust each other. And it seems they are not willing and ready to trust each other anytime soon. So if consensus building should come, I think northern chiefs, the overlord of Dagbon, the overlord of Gonjaland, and other overlords around the northern region. I think they should put their heads together and go into this issue and see how best they can resolve it. Or else, the way it is escalating, it is not going to be a good thing for all of us. And like I mentioned yesterday, the paramount chief of Tamale traditional area, Buchana, he, in 2 days ago, issued a strong statement to the Mamprose and the Kusasi living in Tamale and its environs that none of them should try anything on anybody in that area. If a Kusasi man or a Mamprose man should attack any other in the area, the good people of the area are going to respond to them with force. And I can confirm to you that a whole lot of thousands of Mamproses are living within the area. Thousands of Kusasis are living within the area. And if something should happen within the Dagbon territory with regards to this conflict, I think it's going to be a very big thing. And if care is not taken, it's going to be something that will be difficult to handle, because the way people are already psyching their minds against what might happen is dangerous. And I think the security agencies should also do well to ensure that
Deepa, but even in war, there are disciplines that must be adhered to in terms of the protection of children and women in war, where countries are at war and they have agreements or peace agreements, or there are clauses that guides the state of war. Now, I'm not sure how I can describe it. I'm not a security expert, but where we can have it's just unspeakable. So yes, I am not sure the state in which the schools are now. I know that Boko can be described as a ghost town today, but I am not sure the protection for children, where people can just walk into schools, go straight into dormitories, and no security checks and intels were picked, and this happened. So obviously, it's not a situation. It's not. I'm seeing this as just something that we should go beyond curfew and things like that.
Exactly, you have a point, especially your last point. But as a matter of fact, your initial remarks about observing security protocols in terms of war, that is directed to people who are trained. I mean, the military, the police, people who are trained with how to handle weapons and to follow war rules. But we are talking of people who are not professionals when it comes to handling guns. So their target is just to inflict pain on the opponent, no matter who the person is. They don't care whether it is a kid or an adult. They don't care whether it is a woman or whosoever. So they are not observing any security protocols or war protocols in terms of what is happening in the area. It's like I mentioned, their target is just to inflict pain on each other, and that is very, very unfortunate.
You are there. You can let me understand. Can we describe these persons as assailants, hitmen, or terrorists, if you may? Because those involved in war, they are professionals trained to go to war. That's not what we were seeing in Boko.
Annie, I must be frank with you. In the northern part of the country, people are afraid to comment openly on this issue because you can easily be targeted. Both sides, like I mentioned, have taken entrenched positions. And whatever you say that doesn't go down well with one party, you may be a target. And that is why it is even becoming very difficult for people to be open enough to speak on the happening in Boku. Even if you know the truth, it is always difficult to comment or say the right thing on Boku because people are afraid. And like I mentioned, it is because people are taking entrenched positions on the issue. And that is very disturbing. That is very disturbing. And like I mentioned, leaders of the regions, Tagbon, Mampurugu, Gonjaland, and other places, I think it is very important for them to put their heads together to see how they can curb this situation because it is very disturbing. And as you speak, like I mentioned, I went to the Tamale Teaching Hospital and I met a number of the victims there, and it was very disturbing. So it is very important that leaders of the region put their heads together to see how best they can handle those issues, or else people are even afraid to comment openly on the issue because they are likely to be targeted or to to be aligned to one side, and that is very difficult for everybody within the area.
Now you're in Tamale. We're seeing the escalation and the trickling effect of what's happening at North down south, because the so-called hitmen now follow their enemies down and do what they have been sent to do. What will you advise as a citizen of the area? What will you tell government, if government officials are listening this afternoon? What can you tell us?
Well, the advice I will give is the fact that, like I mentioned, sensitization exercise should be intensified. There should be intensified sensitization exercise within the areas of Boku, Mampuru, and even other areas. Because
do you think that the NCC can be brought into this?
Very important. They are one organization that many people trust in this country, and I think they should be given the role to sensitize people on the conflict in Boku, because, like I mentioned, even in the Tamale area, many Kusasis are living there, many Mapusis are living there, and as a matter of fact, if care is not taken and something like that should spill to Tamale or the northern region, the greater northern region, I doubt if we will be able to handle it and handle it well, because, like I mentioned, the minds of people have already been psyched in a way to believe that anything that should come down from northeast, upper east to the northern part of the country relating to the Boku issue, they are not going to accept it. And that is going to be a very dangerous issue for all of us. So it is very important that a serious sensitization exercise should be launched by the government, maybe through the NCCE, to ensure that people get to understand exactly what should be done and what should not be done, and the need, in fact, the need for people to embrace peace, because the positions both parties are taking are not helping the situation in Boku and its environs and in the northeast region. Because it is like if one person is hurt in one area, they should also find, or the opponent should also find another person from maybe from their jurisdictional area to also hurt the person. And that is what is happening within that area and beyond.
On what grounds did you say that you were almost sure that Menchia would not be able to achieve the aim that we actually sent it out to do? On what grounds?
I am saying this because I realize that there's no single trust between the two. There's no single trust between the two.
And for that whatever factions involved don't have trust in Menchia or Otumfo sitting on this matter?
If you see I read one write-up from one faction yesterday who was basically blaming the Menchia Palace for saying that they were not part of the security protocol, the security arrangements in Boku and its environs. Wow. They were only interested in the traditional resolution of the issue. And one faction is not happy for it. And every day, day in, day out, you are seeing one faction complaining of one thing or the other. And that tells you that the trust between the two factions is really, really not there. And if they are not well sensitized on the issue, we will be doing nothing, actually nothing at the Menchia Palace. Because anything that is going to be made or any decision that is going to be taken there, if care is not taken, they are not going to accept it. And if the people don't accept what is going to be taken in there, I think it will be a useless exercise. That is why I am mainly calling for sensitization exercise with regards to this issue. Let the people understand the need to embrace peace. Let the people understand why they should understand one thing or the other. In the absence of this, I think it will be difficult for something to be agreed between both parties.
Dibaba, we'll leave it here as you also try to make sure you protect yourself, your life first, and then monitor the developments. We'll get back to you. Thank you. Thank you. Dibaba is our man in the northern part of the country, bringing us up to speed with everything that unfolds there. And this time is on Boko. A statement has been released by the Africa Edu Watch or Education Watch, led by the Executive Director Kofi Asare. The statement on violent incidents at Naleregu and Boko Senior High Schools. Of course, it has to do with students. So He says that we express our deepest concern and strong condemnation of the recent violence incidents at Nalerigo Senior High School and Boko Senior High School, which resulted in tragic loss of 3 young lives on the night of Saturday, 26th of July 2025. A month ago, a similar tribal conflict in Nkwanta Senior High School led to the killing of 3 students. These dreadful acts of violence perpetuated within and around educational institutions have shocked the conscience of the nation. At Nalerigo, it's reported that armed assailants entered. Okay, let me read from here. Armed assailants entered the school premises and fatally shot 2 male students. Okay, so good. Fatally shot 2 male students, Lukman and Gideon, in their dormitories. And then on the same night, at Boko Senior High School, 18-year-old Hakim Kundima, a final year student, was also reportedly removed from the dormitory and shot by the unidentified attackers. Now, these deeply distressing incidents have caused widespread fear and trauma among students, staff, and entire education community, leading to the closure of the schools. We unequivocally condemn these acts, and which constitutes an egregious violation of the right to life and sanctity of educational spaces. No grievance or conflict, regardless of its complexity or duration, can justify the target of innocent students. Such acts undermine not only public safety but also efforts to promote peace and stability in the Upper East and North regions. So we call on the governments of the Ministry of Education and relevant security agencies to take all necessary steps to, 1, undertake swift investigations to ensure perpetrators are brought to justice, 2, enhance security in all schools located within conflict-prone areas, 3, support the mediation efforts led by the Asante Hino Tumforce 82 the second, 4, provide psychosocial support to students and staff of affected schools. 5, make alternative arrangements for affected candidates to write their WASIs safely. Imagine if you were there and this happened to you. The students would just lose it. You know, we urge all community members and stakeholders to remain calm and avoid any actions that may escalate tensions further. At this critical moment, a united and measured response is essential to safeguard our collective future and ensure that schools remain safe spaces for learning. Apologies. We extend our heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families and affected schools, communities, and it continues to say that may the memories of Lukman, Gideon, and Hakim strengthen our resolve to uphold peace, justice, and rights of every child in Ghana to learn in safety and dignity. And
Ergu Gambaga, Member of Parliament, Nuruddin Mohammed Mumuni, on this development. Honourable Member, thank you for your time. Good afternoon to you.
My sister, thank you very much, and good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to your listeners and viewers.
I'm sorry about our loss, and condolences to the families of these school children. Where are you as we speak, Honourable?
Currently, I'm on my way going to Parliament.
You're going to Parliament?
Yes.
What exactly will be your agenda in Parliament today?
I'm a member of the Interior and Defence Committee. If I go, my first point of call is to look for the chairman and the ranking of the Defence and Interior Committee for us to have a discussion on these issues. From there, I will move to the Interior Ministry to meet the Interior Minister to have a discussion with him on these issues. That's my agenda.
So far, have you been able to pick intel on these hitmen who have done this to our kids?
Yes. Before I even go there, let me also use this opportunity, as I've been saying since yesterday, to send my condolences to the bereaved families, and also to understand the incident that happened in Boku Senior High School and the incident that happened in Nalego Senior High School. It's unfortunate, it's needless, it's inhuman, and I'm just praying to the Almighty Allah that those who are behind this killing of the students in Boku Senior High School and Nalego Senior High School, God to intervene and let the security agency grab them, or whosoever can help us get these people to face the law. May the Almighty Allah give us the opportunity to get them.
But we're sure that we're sure you have intel already, right?
No, for now, we are on the lookout. The local community is on the lookout. The local task force in my constituency, is on the lookout. The traditional authorities is on the lookout. The youth are all looking all over for us to see whether we can get an intel on these killings. But for now, we haven't taken it. I'm also listening out with the municipal police commander and the regional police commander to see how best we can get close quickly for us to get these perpetrators to this inhuman crime.
We've picked up. I've just spoken with my correspondent in the north, who has indicated that as of yesterday, when the curfew was expected to be observed from 2 p.m. to 6 a.m. next day, as at 10 p.m., we still have persons roaming on the streets, claiming that the imposition was unfair and unjustifiable, and so they were not going to obey the curfew. I know military is involved now. Are you aware of this, and are you following development as far as this curfew is concerned? Because we really need this curfew before all intelligence investigation can continue and be successful by the security agencies who are in charge.
Yes, I'm following development. Since yesterday, I have been in touch with the traditional authority. Nalergo is where the overlord of the Mamporogo kingdom resides. And I've been in touch with the palace of the Nairi, the youth leaders. And yesterday, I wrote a Facebook post, and I was urging the people to comply with the curfew. But unfortunately, I can tell you the curfew was not complied with. And when I find out from the traditional authority and the youth, what I picked was that the timing wasn't right. It was unjustifiable. It was unacceptable. They understand they have been living peacefully with each other within Nalergo and environment until the recent incident of the killing of the two students in Nalergo Senior High School. And when the curfew was going to impose, there was no stakeholder engagement, there was no consultation. The police and the regional police command, the municipal police command were not aware about the curfew. They also saw it on the media. The overlord of the Mamporogo traditional kingdom also saw it on the media. Nobody engaged him. And he expect, and the people expect that if there's going to be something of that nature, the leaders of the community, the overlord, so be aware of it. So he can also add his voice to talk to the people to comply with the curfew. But unfortunately, there was not broader stakeholder engagement. Because of that, the people said that they will not comply with the curfew. So that was what happened yesterday. And also, I've also come to realize that the interior minister imposed the curfew without broader consultation, and it was hastily, issued. Well, if you realize, at the time of the start of the curfew around 2 p.m. up to 3 p.m., 4 p.m., I was always in touch with the people to find out whether security personnel are in the constituency or in Nalero and environment to enforce the curfew. But my sister, you realize that there was nobody there to even enforce that curfew. So tell you that men were not even ready to help the enforcement of this curfew. So after this morning, I was in touch with them. The overlord of the Mamprogo Kingdom have also issued a statement. He had a press conference this morning, and the press conference was all about the curfew. The overlord said the curfew is needless. The curfew, they would not accept the curfew. They would not comply with the curfew, and they were demanding that the interior minister should quickly, lift the curfew and also investigate and bring the perpetrators of this act to book, and also tell the interior minister. They were also telling the interior minister that he should focus his energy in Buku, because in Nalergo they are living very peacefully until the recent incident in Nalergo Senior High School. But after now, or after yesterday, the curfew was not complied with, and I also shared same position with the people, because this curfew was not broader stakeholder engagement. And when you are doing things of this nature, now Lergo is not just an ordinary town. That is where the overlord of the Mampro traditional
the ordinariness of a town or a city or a country does not matter over a life. We've gotten to a point where these hitmen are able to enter into secondary schools and snatch the lives of innocent children who have absolutely nothing to do with this conflict. It's heartbreaking. I'm not sure how leaders, opinion leaders in these areas, including you, Mr. MP, take this matter. I'm not sure how it affects you, but we cannot get used to this. Actually, in my opinion, the curfew is even the minimum that we can pull off as far as this act is concerned, where people, wicked men, can enter into schools and drag children and slaughter them like chickens. It's not a joke. So we don't need the consultation of any town. It's curfew, and it's curfew. Where we have gotten to is almost out of control. I don't know if these hitmen are more powerful than our military of this country.
But I understand. We have been in this for a very long time. We have been all the time. We're emotional. People are dying within Boku, family members, both Kusasi and Mampresi. I understand your sentiment, but if you look at the security nature of communities, before you take any security actions, if you don't have the backing of the stakeholders, my sister, you are going to fail. You see, I started by condemning the act. The students who killed could be my brother, they could be my son, they could be my uncle, they can be my relatives. No one endorsed and condoned with this criminal act. But whatever step that you are going to put in place to get this problem solved, you can't do it without stakeholder engagement. These traditional authorities are people who will help you succeed. You understand? But when you are doing some of these things, you will have to get them involved. There are people who can help give you information. But if you do it to them and they feel disrespected, when they have the information, they will not even give out the information. I understand how you feel. I can see that when you were reading the statement, you were even crying. I understand. The same way we have been crying for a very long time. But these things has to be done and done properly. Can you imagine if you are imposing a curfew in a community, you need to send security there to enforce the curfew. The enforcer of the curfew has not even sent anybody there to enforce the curfew. How can the curfew be enforced? So you understand? So some of these things, you have to get the people involved. get the understanding of the people. Let the people understand that there's the need for us to do the curfew. If we do the curfew, this is what we're going to achieve from the curfew, A, B, C, D. You know, recently there was a curfew imposed in Wale Wale. The curfew is in Wale Wale, but it has not stopped the kid attacks on vehicles on the Wale Wale Bolga Road. There's curfew in Binduri, there's curfew in Boku Town, but it has not stopped the attack on people on the Bolga Boku Road. So it's telling us that we will have to look for a different security strategy to apprehend these criminals, these people who are not supposed to be living with us. It's not just about curfew. Remember, it happened in Sawasi. It happened in Sawasi. Four people lost their lives. The best solution is not to put curfew in Sawasi, but the best solution is to make sure that you protect the people and also commission investigation to make sure that those who perpetrated this ungodly act to be arrested. But it's not all the time that you have to rush and put curfew on people. You understand? In as much I understand the importance of putting curfew, but my issue of this curfew is that we need to consult the people. You need to get the traditional authority by and accept to help you enforce the curfew and also give out information if they have some, so that we can get these criminals to book.
Honorable member, so apart from this consultation, you would have advised against the curfew, I suppose.
No, I'm not against the curfew. If you go to my Facebook, I've said it publicly. I'm not against the curfew, but I'm saying that next time, if there's going to be something like that, let's consult people. Let's get the stakeholders involved. You see, people are so emotional. And I can tell you, this issue has connection to the Boku issue. This issue that happened in Aleu High School, with the little investigation I have done, I can tell you I have connection to the Boku issue. You realize that these days, anything that happened in Boku or anything that Kusasi do, one person will talent. Anything one person do, Kusasi will talent. That is what brought up the Asawas issue. That is what brought up the Ashama issue. So some of these, with our security agency, have to be on top of this issue. The Boku issue has been with us for a very long time. It has been with us for a very long time. And in as much we have twofold in this Boku conflict, we have the traditional aspect of it, that is the chieftaincy aspect of it, and we also have the criminal aspect of it. What is the criminal aspect of it? People holding guns and killing people unnecessarily. This is the criminal aspect of it. And I expect our security agencies to be on top of the issue, to make sure that they bring these idiots, more better, these idiots to book. You can't be going around targeting people and killing people, whether you are a Mampris or you are a Kusasi. You can't be doing that. We will not leave this country for Mampris and Kusasi to hold out to ransom. The security agency have to put an end to this criminal so that they will stop killing people. Who knows who is next? My sister, you can be next, I can be next, any other person can be next. So he's telling us that the president of the day, the interior minister and the security agencies, they will have to be on top of their job. If not that, my sister, we will see a lot of casualties because these criminals, the more they continue to live with us, the more we should expect more casualties.
So I guess you appreciate how my emotions are just, running. And I have done the Boku issues for a while, and mostly you have very gruesome reports that we have, spoken about. We have done all the interviews we have to do. We've spoken to the factions at once on shows. There was one report, a very gruesome one, where there was a school bus taking students from one point to the other. Hitmen, same time, stopped the bus on the road, got the students out of the bus, and bent the bus alive with the driver.
Yes.
Who probably knew nothing about it. So, and these people got away with it. We don't have any reports on who was arrested. No intelligence has been given to us information. So it means that the people there doing all these things are doing it in the name of the conflict and are getting away with it. I'm not seeing any efforts being put in getting people to book, for them to know that they are within a jurisdiction with laws.
My sister, if you look at the whole issue, for me, today, as we speak, the Asantehene is handling the traditional aspect of the issue. I expect the security agencies to handle the other aspect of the issues. the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, everybody is now in his hands. Is to use his power as the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. Is to use his power as the President of the Republic. Is to deploy all security intelligence that we have in this country to these areas to make sure that we fish these idiots out of the system. It is unhealthy. So police people have lost their life, military have lost their life, businessmen have lost their life. To understand that children, the future leaders of this country are losing their lives. It's unacceptable. And he's telling us that our security agencies have to be on top of this issue. They have to get close to this issue and make sure that they bring these idiots to book. Because now everybody's living in fear. Whether you are in Accra, you are in Kumasi, you are in Bolga, everybody is living in fear. And my sister, for me, I don't support this criminal act that is going on. I condemn it any day, any time, whether it's been perpetrated by Mampresis or Kusasi or whosoever. And you also mentioned that criminals can also be hiding under the ambit of this conflict to cause problems.
Exactly.
Especially in our secondary schools. Even before these 2 secondary school killings, you realize that students in secondary school were having weapons. Recently, a lady was shot by a colleague student. Yeah. Tamale Victim Senior High School and the Bokpan Senior High School in Tamale, they went into each other, they found guns in the hands of students. A lot of secondary schools. So he's telling us that we have to look at our secondary school system very, very well, and also make sure that we will provide security in these secondary schools 24/7.
Yeah.
If not that, sometimes these things will be happening. We'll be linking them to Boki issues. Let's assume that I have an issue with you and you already mean me because I'm from this tribe or the other tribe. You will use the tribal issue and get to me, and people will link it to tribal issues, and you go free. You go scot free. So for me, the security agencies, even if they have to neutralize a lot of people for this Boko conflict to stop, they should neutralize and get to the end of this conflict, and we'll all be free.
Great.
Because we can't be living with criminals who hold AK-47 rifles going around killing people. It's not good. And we sit and say Ghana is peaceful. Ghana is not peaceful until Boko and its environment is peaceful.
All right. Honorable Member of Parliament for Nalerigu Gambaga MP, Nuruddin Mohammed Momoni. We'll leave you here. I will keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that's the MP for the area, Nalerigu Gambaga, Member of Parliament. We'll take a quick breather. Let me breathe a bit. We'll speak with Kofi Asare pretty shortly.
Whether you're a wholesaler, retailer, or consumer, MNC Logistics and Trading is your trusted partner in minerals and food commodities trading. Experience the difference with MNC Logistics and Trading for your commodities trading. We operate a well-equipped laboratory that smelts and assays gold to ensure transparent, credible, and reliable minerals transactions. Our general food commodity market deals with imports and exports of food products such as rice, sugar, and grains. We pride ourselves on delivering products that meet the highest standards of quality and taste. With our expertise in international trading and logistics, we bridge customers far and wide. Locate us at number 4 Neosai Interfo Avenue, East Legon, Accra. Call us on 030-299-8246 or visit our website www.mnclogisticsandtrading.com. MNC Logistics and Trading, hub of confidence.
I'm a brand manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Hi, my name is Fred McBagon-Lurie, President of Academic City University in Accra, Ghana. Academic City is at the forefront of technology development. Here at Academic City, innovation and ingenuity blend seamlessly with innovation. We respect knowledge. Knowledge is power. And once Africans start to internalize knowledge, you see the level of development that we attain here. The Tycoon Africa Conference is a convergence of influencers and professionals from across the continent, folks that are interested in marketing and ICT. At this conference, you meet marketers from across the African divide, from Southern Africa, from Zimbabwe, from Kenya, from Uganda, and of course, from our beautiful country called Ghana. I will be speaking, and there will be many other professionals and experts who will be sharing the African experience in marketing and ICT. This is an opportunity you will not want to miss. At this conference, you will meet people working at the forefront of AI, ICT integration, using new tools and emerging technologies, marketers who are at the forefront of pushing this agenda, and more importantly, it will be an avenue for us to encounter policy.
We brought you the first two conferences, which were awesome. Great leadership ideas shared. On popular request, the third in the series of Women in Strategic Leadership Conference, put together by ASWAM and Tarragon, comes off on September 24 to 27 at the Plash Camp Chache Resort. Adan, come, engage with astute women with great leadership ideas and skills on the conference theme, Women at the Helm, Driving Strategic Change. On the bill for this special conference are outstanding women such as Genevieve Pearl Duncan Ubobi, banker, trainer, SME consultant, speaker and author. Miss AC Mills Robertson, Director of Inclusive Banking at Fidelity Bank Ghana, and Mrs. Augustina Atkinson Dadebo, Counseling Psychologist and Assistant Registrar, UPSA. Do call 059-205-2286 or 024-403-5731. Come and let's advance women in leadership while creating a supportive community as well as empower women in leadership.
Welcome back to the program. It's Good Afternoon, Ghana, and earlier on, apologies for my uncontrolled emotions, but it's quite a disturbing development. I read the Africa Education Watch statement you earlier on, signed by the Executive Director, Kofi Asare. He's joined us via phone to express to us what role they are also playing in this situation. Kofi, thank you for your time. Condolences to all of us.
Pleasure is mine. We continue to condole with the affected families.
Right. Now, I've read your strong worded statement, and I've seen a couple of pointers that you expect that the government of Ghana will undertake. I'm actually not wanting to belabor the point, but let me find out from you, if you've been able to contact, what role you're playing in this whole mess, who you've been able to contact, and how you're ensuring that these measures, which I think is quite good, that can help us to a certain level, if you've been able to make any contact with the appropriate
associated security agencies that are dealing with this development?
Well, first of all, this morning I personally called the district director for Boko West, who is a colleague from school, and I sought to find out the situation in the area. He is in the west, so we said that on their side they are safe. The action is actually in the Boko itself. But having had the conversations with him, what my team understood was that it is important that we put in place immediately an alternative measure so that should the situation not improve, in the coming days, the students in that area who were evacuated will not miss an opportunity to write their WASI, because WASI is starting next week. And so it's important that alternative arrangements be put in place by WAEC as part of their protocol. This is not the first time. And so that the students will be allowed to write the examination at a different venue where there is peace and security. This is not just Boko, but also in Malerigu. In addition to that, you see the trauma of being in a dormitory, having one of your own abducted and killed. It's not one that 15, 16, 17-year-olds can lightly take. And so there's a lot of social emotional support or psychosocial support required to help the students prepare for the examination, and also should things revert to normalcy, to help them return and remain on campus. That is critical because of the trauma. Not only the student, but also
if you can respectfully kindly raise your voice a bit so you are a bit more audible.
So not only for the students, but also for the staff in the schools. So the point I want to make is that there's a huge gap and the need for psychosocial support to the affected students and the school authorities. And that must be administered by the Ghana Education Service. And so we are going to work with the Ghana Education Service to ensure that the required psychosocial support is provided to the students and then also the staffing community in Boko Senior High School and in
the point two you raised. You said that support the mediation effort led by the Asante Hinotun for Setu II. I've just spoken with our Northern Regional Correspondent, D. Baba, who has revealed something to us that trust in the mediation process is broken down from either of the factions in the Menshia leading the mediation process. And so something else radical must be done, because if trust is broken down from both sides, it's really not going to yield any results. How do you think we can go about it? Do we still maintain the Asante Hene, led mediation process, add on to it, take something out? What exactly do you think we can do?
We have no option than to support that mediation process to succeed. The reason why we are calling for government to support and also support the mediation process is that we don't have any alternative. There must be mediation. Conflict has never been won on the war front, and this conflict will not be different. And so we have no option than to support the mediation process in spite of its challenges and make it succeed. Yes, we appreciate that the incidents as Aswase, etc., have had, negative impact on the mediation effort. But we have no option than to mediate this crisis, as the security agencies also use the security front to try and address the problem. And so government stakeholders must continue to support the challenging times that the mediation effort of His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Osetutu has been leading. There are challenges in every mediation process, and so we acknowledge the challenges and reinforce the need to support the king, and then all the other parties in the mediation efforts, to make progress in spite of the challenges that they are currently going through.
I'm just trying to get a statement I received earlier on Good Morning Ghana from Dr. Apak, who is the Deputy Minister for Education. And he said that it's heartbreaking to imagine the plight of the parents of the students who were needlessly killed. We express our sincerest condolences to the parents. It's our expectation that the criminals who are hiding under the Boko conflict to commit these criminals are identified, dealt with. Our precautionary measures. We have closed down Boko SHS and other schools in Boko area. We have also closed down the Nalerigu SHS and will close other schools in Nalerigu pending the outcome of the urgent meeting currently ongoing. So he says that the meeting is currently ongoing as well. Are you aware of this meeting?
I'm aware, and I'm also aware that there are other schools, not only in Nalerigu, but also in Boko. There are 2 other schools in Boko.
Boko, yes.
The Senior High Technical and another technical institute. There are 2 other schools in Boko. And the reason why we are calling for heightened security in these schools is that it should have been contemplated that given the issues in Asawase, or even without Asawase, I was surprised that in a school like Boko Senior High School and the schools in Boko, they didn't have police presence, even without Asawase. Because obviously there's just a conflict zone. And the zone has been witnessing increasing conflicts for some time. At least the past 6 months, we've seen a lot of action there. And so if the Deputy Minister is talking about preemptive measure, then the preemptive measure is to ensure that there is heightened security in all the other schools in the area and other areas of conflict. Not security provided by GNS staff, but security provided by Ghana police or the military, so that we are able to, always remain one step ahead of danger.
Yeah, because clearly you see that these strikes they are definitely one step ahead of the whole nation. Where the moves, I'm not sure if it's the same people we're dealing with here, but they're from the Ashanti region. And as we're focusing on the Ashanti region, try to investigate and do whatever we're doing, then you hear something in the north. I just want to believe that it's the same people moving.
That for me is the most intriguing issue. That we are not being proactive in providing security for our educational institutions in the conflict zones. Because where there are people, you look at Boko, for instance. I'm not sure you can point to me one community, if I say community, one assembly that will have over 1,000, apart from secondary schools. So for me, the proactiveness of our security was called into serious question, based on what happened in Nalerigu and Boko. And we ought to be proactive and not reactive, because we are dealing with human lives. That's why we have called for strengthening of security, not only in the secondary schools in the Boko area and Nalerigu area, but in other areas where there are conflicts. Because in Kwanta, similar issue of poor security, there was actually no security in Kwanta Senior High School. Other than that, great students wouldn't have died there. And so there's a history of reactive security in educational institutions whenever there is a conflict in areas that are already flash points for tribal conflicts. It shouldn't be reactive. It should be we have to be proactive and always make sure that we do have security in this area before the unfortunate thing happens in our schools.
Right. Mr. Kofi, sorry, we'll leave it here and we'll follow through with you as you're also, taking steps to support the fight. Thank you for your time. Kofi Asare is Executive Director for Africa Education Watch, who has released rather a strong with a statement and in support of the fight. And I hope that we will get to a point where we can all heave a sigh of relief. We'll leave Good Afternoon Ghana here. Thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with the show.
Fifra ye free nyina ye de obedientia de ya fugia ne aduane saa soro pintin bi aseda o me de ye di koye mu ne de awie nyina na makuafo modem mo so won fifre so ne enya bidio na so bate aseman Ghana mu a akuafo akoya abo pupo obo wasio na so da su kache wona san fifre mama mu nyina nya bidie na nso mpuntudwo mu aka akiri pa ekwan ben ne befa so ama akuafo fifre ho abanfa so de aban hyehye ne dwumadi ahodo ode bre akuafo no bo wote ase Feed Ghana ye den na nkokọ ketenkete so mfa so ama akuafo nso ye den we inti na hyehye dwumadi esunkwa ya to ne akuafo mo ye de bro Original TV and Metro TV so dwumadi beba akwanya ama mpanyimfo anim de ewa abafukaye mu akire wadwen ye je akuafo ha no amane akogye mu aye e de afiri aban mu mpanyimfo ho enimi ni ehia akuafo nyonko samo honto eda joada enwumre no nso kosi ne no nwotwe e Original TV so saa so na da yawada enwumre no nwotwe kosi no nkono e Metro TV so akuafo mo Ghana akuafo abomode na yempene wo
Ekuyafumo is sponsored by ACAP Compost. ACAP Compost comes in 3 varieties. ACAP Compost, ACAP Compost X, ACAP Compost Plus.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.
Please, stop doing that. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Why are you pleading? What for?
Babe, don't do that. It's going to kill me even more. I'm sorry. I know you're angry at me.
Okay. Why should I be angry? What reason would I be angry?
No. Hey, your friend Nancy, she didn't come here.
No, but why are you apologizing?
You know me, I just don't mind me, ignore me. I was just messing with your head. Actually, I was sort of like testing you, like new tactics to see how I love you and how you love me, It's nothing serious.
Maybe you're a clown.
I know, right?
But what's the apology for?
Hey, it's okay. Nothing. I was just messing with you. I love you. I love you.
Okay, fine. Don't let me go late to work.
Hey.
Let go.
Come get some sugar. That was close. That was close.
Who is that coming?
Oh, baby.
Yeah,
Oh,
beautiful.
you're welcome, my love.
Don't stress yourself.
Welcome. How are you?
I'm fine.
Thank you.
How's my baby doing? Hope she's kicking fine.
You will come and ask her that. Maybe something happened, though.
What happened? What happened? Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay.
You remember my house rent I told you about?
Yes, and I said I will give you the money at the weekend.
Okay. My landlord called and said a good Samaritan had paid for it.
Good Samaritan, I don't understand. Why is anybody paying for your rent?
I'm confused too.